just exploded. Hook there on the Juju's with Thresh. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe
it's gonna be the game.
I can Legacy.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it in radius. Wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Radier and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hooks on, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed a support. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on, Swiffer is dead, Ray locks down Raze, Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello and welcome to day 2 of week 1 of the OPL, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. You're getting a look at the players right now, getting ready in the OPL studio live in Pyrmont, Sydney. That, of course, is the new Looks In Gaming, who will take to the Rift first off against the Legacy, a team they would be very familiar with, but not necessarily this lineup. Hello, everyone. I am Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me on the desk is Bryce Etienne Paul.
Hello.
Big week of OPL this week. It's been fun so far.
Absolutely. Great day yesterday. We saw a lot of good games, I think, between some of the top contenders, a lot of people would say. And excited to see what the teams can pull out today.
Yeah, exactly right. Actually, let's bring up that schedule onto your screen to have a look at what happened yesterday. The Direwolves were able to take down the Chiefs in that grand final rematch. The one time the teams will meet this split until playoffs, and they got the big W. Order took to the Rift against Tectonic, a team that we didn't have high expectations of. They got the 2-0, but you have to say that Tectonic probably made them bleed for it. Then today, of course, we have Sin versus Legacy before the Bombers take off against Avad Gaming. I'm just going to get so many in there today. In flight. They're going to be great. But yesterday's games, I mean, let's start with Tectonic because that was a very well-fought game, number 2.
That was the most fun game of the day, I think. The Urgot pick into Rise, baited Order and Swiffer specifically into that one, and then I don't know, Shock was just popping off, to be honest. Like, nobody knew what was going to happen. Yep. Johnny spoke to me, their coach, before the game, said, we've got something spicy for you, but I didn't expect the Urgot. And then, I don't know, 9 kills in that game. Definitely worked. Might not have been victorious, but
certainly as a counter pick, you could expect to see maybe a little bit more. And then Direwolves, Shern less, but still on fire, some would say, able to pick up that win.
On fire, yeah, absolutely. Definitely a hard-fought game between the Chiefs and Direwolves there. Bit close. I did pick the Chiefs to bring that one out, as you mentioned.
A little bit bias on the desk here, maybe?
No bias at all. No. I think Shern, very good. But without him, I did think they would struggle, but Prayless honestly stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, Shavana. And then game 1 today. Yeah, Prayless played well, but game 1 today, it's going to be Sin taking on Legacy. And I want to talk about these two teams because both of them had similar off-seasons in the fact that they only have 1 returning member each. However, I think they've ended up in different places. Yeah,
definitely. Juves, you see on the lineup of Sin, the only returning member, as you see a bunch of rookies on his team. Pradith from TM Gaming. You see Bedoin coming up, Kuden as well, who won't be playing today. Actually, will be K-Pop filling in. And then we do have Dream as the AD carry, up-and-coming 17-year-old player there.
And then Legacy, I mean, whilst they only have Claire being a carry-over player, you do have to say that they've filled the role with a little bit more veteran status on that organization with faces like Sybil.
Yep, absolutely. Sybil. You have Raid as well coming in from Abyss last season. Decoy reining out the bottom lane. A lot of hype coming in from people around him to the start of this season here, so interested to see how he will perform. And then Series standing in for Mimic, their Korean import, who unfortunately won't be playing either today.
Yeah, and a couple of teams, one more time, that are going to be pretty affected by these bans that came out. I mean, the suspension of Kuden down there in the bottom lane, the suspension of Mimic, who is the superstar import that Legacy are looking to bring into their lineup. So definitely both these teams not at full strength. But still, you would have to say that Legacy right now look more OPL ready than a team full of rookies.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, in saying that, Juves is not unaccustomed to building a team from scratch. He's done it time and time again, but without the star-studded lineup that I think he had last season, definitely a different style of rebuild here. But from Legacy, I think the biggest thing for me is the stylistic changes bringing into the 2018 lineup. Without Lost, he was their star player, absolutely 100%. Claire was on karma duty. They played around him the entire season, and as the season went on, more and more. So interested to see what style they kind of settle into with these new players.
And without Carbon, without the shot caller,
without
the
the
guy
leader.
that led the team for so long. However, we will throw it over to Laura and the guests at the Analyst Hangout to get their thoughts on today's first game.
Thanks, Jake. I'm here with Destiny, the support for the Chiefs, who's going to help break down today's games with some information that might help you at home. How are you doing today, Destiny, especially after yesterday's games?
Yeah, not bad. Not a good start to the season, but it is a long season, and very excited to see what happens because we've got a lot of new players, a lot of new imports, and look, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a fun one.
It will be a fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends out. But before we jump into this first game, I want to grab your thoughts on it and who you think's going to take it out.
Yeah, look, my heart says Sin, like Juves. I think Dream can pop off. I think he's a very upcoming 80 carry into the OPL at the moment. But my brain does say Legacy, Lucio, big brain. But yeah, I do think Legacy got a strong lineup, even with the substitute coming in from Ceres. Yeah, I'm really impressed by Decoy. He got Master in Korea. I think he's definitely a good support. Didn't play so well on Regicide last year, but I think he can step up to the plate in this game.
What do you think the score will be for the series?
2-0 to Legacy.
You think it's going to be a 2-0?
I'm sorry, Sin
It's
fans.
one-sided.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 for Legacy. But remember, if you want to make your own predictions at home, head on over to opltips.com.au. We've got some whopping prizes up for grabs, such as $25, $50, and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers if you place in the top 150 or 25 places at the end of the split. But for all the information on those prizes, go to opltips.com.au. We've also got some XP boosts and RP prizes up for grabs. Thank you so much for your prediction, Destiny. But to get this show on the road, let's hand it back to your casters.
Thanks so much, Laura. So both of the analysts hangout are going for Legacy in this game. But let's talk about Sin a little bit more. I want to talk about Dream down there in the bottom lane. I know you're a big fan and also know him quite well.
Yeah, I've spent a bit of time with him. So the big thing for me is he's definitely an up-and-coming player, very young, 17. But so I don't think coming into this game he's the best AD carry. Absolutely not, I don't think. But going to Korea at the age of 17 by himself, took himself over there for 2 months to stay in the office of an LCK team in Ever 8. And so spent a lot of time with them, befriended the guys, watched them scrim. So you have to think, from OPL to speccing LCK scrims, that's a big stretch.
Yep.
And I mean, he wasn't even in the OPL at the time. And so coming back, there has to be a lot of knowledge there. And I think he has a lot of room to grow with the drive behind it to push himself.
Yeah, and I mean, I've not had much to do with him, but had a couple of conversations, and he seems like a pretty mature kid for only 17 years old.
Yep.
I mean, coming in, he'd also spent a couple of games duo queuing with you. It was around the Chiefs a little bit towards the last split. So definitely someone that's like looking to make that big leap into the OPL.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the other side, you do have Legacy as well. Talk about Decoy. Has been mentioned a few times.
Yep.
Up and coming. I spoke to Rosie the other day. We will see him playing for the Bombers later on today, but said definitely kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of did a Cupcake, what he did the previous year, where solo queue player, Cupcake was a Bard, but Decoy's a Braum, and then they just grind it out through OCS and then become a really good player off the bat. So we haven't seen too much of him, but his first game, I guess, on a solidified starter roster on a roll. We did see him, as Destiny mentioned, on Regicide last season, subbing in 4 K-pop, so potentially a little bit of a grudge match here between those two coming into the first game of the day. Interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it certainly will be as we bring up the Sin lineup onto your screen.
We do have Pradith, the man from TM Gaming last year, on top lane there. Juves, the only returning member of Sin. Bedoink in the mid lane there. Dream, we've talked about him a bit. AD carry and K-pop rounding out the lineup in the support position down there.
Vicarious will be their coach, obviously from Regicide last split, and their opponents will be Legacy Esports. They fly as one. It's going to be Series in the top lane. Sybil is their veteran jungler. Claire, the remaining member. See how he performs this year, because he had an up and down 2017 raid across from Abyss Esports and Decoy from Regicide. Of course, the big brain Lucio Soul Strikes is their coach and a very vocal member. Very interested in this Legacy lineup because, for all accounts, this is a downgraded Legacy lineup. They've sent Lost to Echo Fox Academy.
He's popping
off, by the way. Oltec, start
insane.
playing well, because if you do not, Lost will have your starting position quite soon. I mean, they've lost Carbon. They've lost their vice captain, though, in Tally over to Order. So this is a team that, I mean, there should be big questions about them, but veteran org status, I think, buys them that get out of jail free, and they've had a quite good offseason.
Not even a get out of jail free, but some people just give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess, coming into this season. But the big player, I think, is Claire. He's a player that, if he is the star player of a lineup, I think he can be very successful. And we have already touched on it, but he was just on Karma duty. Yep. Literally, Karma, Oriana, Shield the Lost, got into Gauntlet. Didn't have a Tristana anymore, so didn't fare too well there. Bit of a stab there, but I think this could be Claire's season coming into this one. New young lineup for Legacy, and interesting there.
Yeah, and I think Claire has always been a player that I've tracked very eagerly because he's been around forever. I mean, we always say it, formerly known as East Rise, ran around solo queue in North America, absolute terror. But, I mean, he was just such a dominant player, and people were waiting for him to make his pro player, start and then really take the scene over, be a name like Swiffer Fantics. And he had moments of brilliance. The Victor game against the Chiefs where Chiefs organization fell down is one that pops to mind, but the inconsistency in his play was pretty apparent.
And that's the thing, right? Consistency is so important at the competitive level, and he's always had that spark. He's had the ability to pop off in those moments, had really good games, but then also had some blunders, had some bad ones here and there. So hopefully he can step up this season. New year, new Claire. Let's see him go.
Exactly right. Going to be facing off against Bedoink in this game. Another player that has been in solo queue for just such a long time, has always played Challenger, hasn't yet taken that step. Interested to see whether, if there's 6 mid lane bans, we get a Yasuo pick, Bryce.
Yeah, one of the few Oceanic mid laners that has played Yasuo. And interesting, I just thought about this. Sin has always had the Yasuo mid laner. They had Rymeister.
Yep.
I don't know about Tommy Ryoma, but Bedoink definitely. Maybe they're like, Tommy, look, that's why you're off the Chiefs, mate. You can't play Yasuo. None of that. We want a Yasuo player back, so give us the Bedoink. And here he is today.
All right, let's jump into Champions League. It's going to be Tam Ken Shen as well as Yorn banned away by Sin Gaming. Kog'Maw Callista. So your man, Bryce, is already attracting some attention. If it's Ezreal, that is 3 for 3 bans directed at Dream. And in his first game, I mean, even though AD carry is a position you pinch at the moment, you have to smile as a rookie. It's not his game plan.
Yeah, they don't do it. So Ezreal and Zoe, the 2 picks up, I think Sin will be looking at right now. There's the classic Wukong series.
Oh, it's Wukong, yeah.
Unlucky, mate, but Sejuani, all the junglers are up, Sejuani and Jarvan, so see what Sin go for. They are hovering the Alistar. We saw not much priority on that Alistar yesterday. We did see a lot more Tarm, a lot more Braum.
I think the reason that we didn't see as much priority is because of the Braum, actually. Braum is so good against Alistar because if he headbutt poles your AD carry, and you know more about this than I do, you just jump to him, put the door up, nothing really going to be happening, and Ali can't get back out, whereas Braum can kind of decide whether he goes forward or backwards.
Braum is not committal because the AD carry can proc your CC. Ali has to go in melee range, headbutt, pulverize combo, and then obviously Braum passive procs, you take a bunch of damage, you just have to walk away as your little cowbells are ticking, trying to get the next lot of CC rounds. So.
Cowbells because there's only one skin in the game. Everyone else has the chains, of course. But,
absolutely not, no.
Ejim has not seen a chain under his Alistar since Cowbell was released.
Does not use Cowbell Alistar. I will be disappointed.
Black Alistar is the only Alistar.
Yeah, but I don't think it's available on Tourney Realms.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not.
I wouldn't be able to play then.
I wanted to use it for so long, but just not available as we do have the draft progressing further.
Yeah, it is going to be Azir as well as Sejuani picked up there. So a very strong, solid core for Sybil and Claire. Interestingly enough, we've seen internationally a little bit of Azir counters, but it's not going to be one. It is just going to be the Rise locked in.
Yeah, Malzahar is still open, but they did opt in for the Rise there. Vega also, we saw hit the bench yesterday, very good into Azir, so they do opt in for the Rise. Got that global pressure with the Realm Warp. Can influence the side lanes 1-3-1, whereas the Azir really doesn't want to do that.
And that's why Rise was seen as a traditional counter to Azir, because it's not really all that much about laning phase. You kind of just free farm against each other as Decoy grabs his Braum and Bedoink locks in Dreams. Ezreal, so some priority for the young man down there in the bottom lane, but it was about dragging Azir into a 1-3-1. And Azir doesn't deal well with side lanes.
He just doesn't want to be in there. Has no mobility or very little and wants to be with his teammates set up under a turret, flinging the soldiers at you, scooping you back into his team. But the Zoe has gone all the way through and probably won't be banned as the Azir and Rise are already locked in.
Have we seen 2 Rise games in top lane? Is that correct?
Overseas, yes, I think we have. So potential for the flex, I guess. Small potential.
That would be a very flexible... I mean, if anyone was going to play it, it would be Praedyth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Praedyth is an absolute madman in the top lane. Praedyth or Tally are the 2 top laners that kind of just have lane kingdom. They're able to pick whatever they want up there. Camille Alawi gone, so they certainly think that's a mid lane Rise. Vayne banned out.
Yeah.
that is one of the counter picks we're seeing in Ezreal. Kind of gives Vayne a free lane, and you never want to do that against a hyper-scaling AD carry.
Yeah, Ezreal with the Alistar isn't too strong in the laning phase, does fling around a little bit of poke, but Vayne obviously very weak early, very strong later, and with the Relic Shield wants to just survive the laning phase and then scale up. So
Jhin is available. Raid was a big Jhin player, big Ashe player. From what I know of him, what else are we expecting to see? Nah going to be the lock-in now, so saving that pick.
Potentially some Varus. We do still see some options available, as they did lock in the Nah there. Interesting to see what Praedyth chooses to take into this one. Will we see more mages? The Vlad is still open, potentially picking that one up in the top lane. They do have a lot of backline dive already. Ali can get in there. Vlad very easily can get onto the backline.
Kha'Zix still available for Juve, so there is, and Jarvan actually, so both of the AD junglers available, so you can go for a mage top lane if you want.
Yep, do it. Fiddlesticks top. Let's go. Fiddlesticks jungle, Jarvan top. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, no,
Fiddlesticks doesn't clear well at the moment. We saw him played, I think, a little bit in Korean solo queue when Vladimir was seeing mid lane play.
Oh yeah, because you can
drain through his pool
while he pulls. Yeah.
But that would be boring. Praedyth, we just talked him up. He's a madman in the top lane, but he's locked in Maokai.
He's done the big swips. He's done the dodges. Locked in Maokai. First game of the OPL 2018 as Draven. I'd like that. We've seen the resurgence of Tyler 1.
Yeah, certainly have. And also the fact that Lost was a big Draven player on Legacy. So Raid may be playing homage to his predecessor. Varus would be a much safer pick.
That would make a lot more sense there. They have a lot of CC on the lineup of Legacy here. Sejuani, Varus, Braum. You have the Nah flank coming through.
Yep.
Just so many engaged tools, but then on the other side you have the Maokai, Jarvan,
and so many disengaged tools, to be honest. I mean, you don't normally say you could potentially disengage Alistar, Maokai, as well as a Jarvan, but if any lineup can do it, it's going to be, you know, Nah backwards, Emperor Divide backwards. Very hard to chase through Braum and Sejuani hitting your front line as well. So there are options for Legacy in this draft, I feel.
Definitely, and I do want to see if we see some similar games to yesterday, or whether we see a lot of high action early games. Potentially the Order Tectonic series, starkly different than that of the Chiefs Direwolves.
And kind of different from what we've seen internationally. We've seen some very long games. In fact, we saw a 94-minute game overnight. We saw Chiefs and Direwolves also having a little bit of a slugfest back and forward, whereas the Order games were a little bit quicker. We'll have to see whether that was due to a discrepancy in where the organizations are at, or whether you can decide to speed up this patch, because some patches just demand that you play slow games.
And I mean, this is one of those patches. You have seen Kog'Maw hit the ban list multiple times. We saw him first picked yesterday, and then you have in the mid lane the likes of Azir, Ryze. These are hyper-scaling mages, so it does lend itself to longer games, but not many of those picked up here. We do see the Azir Ryze lane, but Varus Ezreal could get pretty spicy in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it certainly could, especially if you throw one of those junglers down there. I mean, Jarvan is such a good bottom lane ganker. He just covers so much ground. And, you know, Sejuani, as soon as she gets the ultimate, especially with Braum, just synergizes so well. I mean, you have two passives that you want people melee auto-attacking pretty much to get those procced off. However, we are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1. It is going to be Sin versus Legacy. But before we get into this game and talk about Mukau Alistar, let's throw it over to Laura and Vicarious.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing alongside Vicarious. Now, you've done some jumping around yourself, formerly coaching Regicide, and now you're on the Sin squad. How have you been enjoying working with the team?
Well, Sin have a very different dynamic to Regicide, so I'm really loving it at the moment. Like, everyone's very enjoyable. We're getting along very well. So, yeah, it's very nice to have a change.
It's nice to hear that. Now, taking a look at Legacy's lineup, what's the biggest threat you can see in their composition?
So their comp has a lot of AoE and a lot of team fighting potential. And I mean, to respond to that, in response to that, I think I just asked my team to have a lot of lane pressure and lane priority. So yeah, I'm very keen for them to play this game out.
With those threats in mind, what does the team have to do today to take the series as a whole?
So the simplest way to say it is just playing well together, right? But I think our team is very confident in our early game, and also how we play the map later on. So just from like the knowledge that I've tried to teach them over the last few weeks, I think they can take this game. So
well, best of luck with the series, Vicarious, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
And we see some heavy trading in the mid lane as Badoink has
he's above half.
But he's already lost a potion into a lane matchup that Ryze generally can push a little bit quicker. However, I can see that there's Keen. Oh, no, we can't talk about it. Sorry.
That's
Skank into the mid lane. Juice comes in, does not flash. Claire is dead. You either had to flash it. Good on him for not burning anything afterwards, because as soon as you got hit by the CC and the red buff, you were just gone. But all of a sudden, Bedoink, he was just baiting him. And Claire, a player we said needed to step up, is dead.
Yeah, in a meta full of unsealed spellbooks, Azir does not take it here, so he's going to lose the wave and the kill as well. Claire immediately getting punished, and Vicarious mentioned in the interview, they just have to play well together, and that's kind of what we're looking for from both teams. New lineups, except for the one player coming from the 2017 rosters, so today will be the day of seeing how these teams mesh together and seeing how they can play.
Yeah, and I mean, getting Juice involved early game has always been the key to success for Juice. He's a confidence player. You see it on his stream, you see it when he was over in Rift Rivals. When he thinks he's on and he's playing well, he is a completely different person.
Outsmarted Levi, by the way.
Yeah, certainly did. And I think that this new start for Juice is something that he is not a stranger to at all. Definitely one of the veterans of the scene that you wouldn't trust to rebuild a squad around.
Yeah, definitely. And he's already ganked the mid lane. We saw that. Got himself the kill. And that's kind of been Juice's mantra for his entire career. Always had very strong mid laners in the Rhymeister, in the Ryoma, and now Bedoink in to fill those shoes, rather. As he even had a very strong bot lane, FBI and Rogue, but still played towards the mid lane there last season.
Yeah, certainly did. You see the Varus and the Braum pushing in. Varus, one of those champions that is very hard to outpush, has 2 AoE spells and can just fling at you like this. See what build we see? Ginsu's has been very popular.
Yep.
However, every now and again, you see lethality pop up, mainly if you have a 1-3-1 comp and Azir is on the other team and you want to pin him down. But see, I mean, always potential.
Yeah, always potential, but less likely in this meta. We do have the Jarvan, Maokai, and the Ali, so many tanks on the side of Sin. So flinging that poke damage, not going to be too successful, I think, in this game, as Sin definitely subscribed to the Inspiration meta a lot more than Legacy here. Got themselves 4 stopwatches, I believe. Actually, no, just the 3 with a minion dematerializer in the top lane on Praedyth. We're seeing that again. I
like that on Maokai. We talked about it briefly yesterday as junglers clash. Juice is lower level. Sybil going to be able to get a lot of damage down. However, Juice returns fire quite well. They will disengage, but you would have expected Sybil to win that one a little bit more handily.
Yeah, definitely. With Series coming on the Gnar as well, unless Juice, with his low HP, wouldn't want to follow up a Flash Maokai route, so you have to expect Gnar would have been much more faring, better off in that matchup there, in that little gank.
Yeah, a little bit more threatening. See Fleet Footwork picked up there for Series in the top lane.
Oh, actually, yeah, Fleet Footwork.
No,
normally you see the summon Airy there to get the poke damage, but obviously favors the extra sustain and the move speed that it allows you.
Yeah, I mean, probably synergizes a little bit better with the W, you would have to think, but the chase potential has always been there. Jumps forward onto Praedyth. We'll just get a little bit of harass damage down. I mean, Maokai has always been one of the most difficult champions in the game to force out a lane. And also sets up ganks incredibly well, so you have to worry about pushing into him sometimes. Series doing a good job right now. This is a play we should probably mention. Series played on Avant Gaming last split. Wasn't all that impressive, to be frank. However, now a new lease on life for 2 weeks for Legacy. This is a player that would want to prove that he is still OPL capable.
Yeah, and chemistry is so important on teams, and potentially just didn't fit in with that AV lineup, underperforming there. But as you said, he's already bullying around Praedyth a fair bit, very low in the top lane, and great performance out of him. Mind you, we are only 5 minutes into this game here, so see how he tracks for the rest of this time. Claire gets a nice trade.
Big trades, actually, from both. I like the fact that Claire and Sybil there, the 2 new 1-2 punch for the Legacy lineup, we're invading as a duo. I mean, it's something that we always like to see, but as a jungler, you either need to take your support, or better yet, someone that actually does damage into the enemy jungle.
I mean, unless you do damage. Sybil on the Sejuani, obviously, is a
big headbutt pole. There's going to be the cowbells out.
But if you are on the likes of a Kha'Zix and you bring a Braum, that is like if you bring the damage and you bring someone with the CC, that's also very potent there. As Decoy just looking for a bit of a ward in the try, so K-pop finds his opportunity to get a chunk. But
do these skins match? I don't feel like Explorer Ezreal and White Moo Cow Alistar.
I don't think there's a brown Ali skin. This is the most brown Ali cowbell skin he's got. You have to have a bit of white in there.
But surely, I mean, in that case, you just take Frosted.
Yeah, you could go double blue. I like double blue. That works. Come on, guys.
We would play Frosted Ezreal because I play Frosted Ezreal.
I can't play Ezreal.
Can't you?
No.
I was a big AP Ezreal player.
Oh.
Like, I mean, like a long time ago.
Well, when it was good or when it was not good?
When it was good.
Okay, just got to make sure. A bit of a dive.
Claire, a little bit boom, and he's in trouble.
Nice
does
dive.
flash this time around. However, they're both on top of him. Root going to come out and pick up another kill, and they are just picking on the mid laner of Legacy.
Juve, so much pressure in that mid lane. They burned both flashes, Rise and Java, to get on top of him. Claire loses his as well, but so much pressure on in the mid lane, and Sybil doesn't seem to be helping him too much here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of those things that I think that you can speed up the tempo of the game if you get the control mage behind. If Azir can't just sit there and be the brick wall in the mid lane and wave clear, if the threat of the dive is apparent, then the game won't go for the hour and a half.
And I mean, that was it just there. Absolutely no mana. Did have the ulti available, Emperor's Divide, but couldn't disengage that fight. So nice opportunity there spotted by Sin, and they do clutch it.
And we're going to see another Rod of Ages rise. Something that we, as a duo, had honestly just thought the Abyssal Mask, because of the immediate reward and the magic resist. Like, I mean, you're going up against Sejuani Azir. If there's ever a time to build magic resist, surely it is this game. But they just say no. Even Ginsu's Varus does surprising amounts of magic damage.
Interesting. Interesting to see the different mid laners favouring the different styles, as there's a bit of an invade coming in the top line.
Yeah, it certainly is. Series going to look for Juves. Of course, Juves ganking a lot. That is going to be a very dead... No, it's not. Get out of jail free card there.
That's the one-time use there on the stopwatch. Realm Warp combo. Can't cancel that one, so...
Good to see that Bedoink had the correct key binding for that one.
Unlike Swiffer yesterday, just hitting the wrong button in the top lane. Couldn't get out of dodge there, but Bedoink does.
And I mean, that is a little bit of Juve showing himself on the map so much. Now we'll do his wolf camp. We'll get level 6. But because Sybil had just farmed, you can see his 3-ish camps up ahead had been able to get that a little bit earlier.
But that's the thing. What means more? Getting your Rise ahead in this matchup. He's already ganked
I
Claire
would say
twice.
yes.
So absolutely. If those ganks are successful, which they have been, 100% here, Claire's already behind, picking up his blue buff slightly later there. But Juice has done his duty here in the early game.
And he's going to go AD. I mean, I like that he's gone trackers still. I think wards are something that...
Vitally important.
Yeah, a little bit more than a red smite for the jugglers out there. However, still is going to go towards the Caulfield's Warhammer. So building towards Warrior.
And he's level 6 now, so a lot of damage potential coming out of him. We haven't seen too much action in any of the side lanes. It's all been centered around the mid. Potentially another one looking here, Juves, but...
Potentially looking for Claire to queue forward aggressively before he goes for that gank, but it's just not going to be there. In fact, actually, always a patient man leaves that. Would have been spotted, I think, by the ward in the Pixel Brush, and instead... I mean, if 2 members aren't going to get the gank done, why not just bring a third as Praetor heads down?
Yeah, that's what they were probably thinking of. They didn't want to face check that bot side river. There is a pink one Claire standing
still
up, but
going.
because they did see Sedge.
Slides out.
Completely fine. Bot lanes are rotating up here. Raid and Deco going to be first, so Sin ultimately will just have to back off. Sybil looking.
Yeah, Sin actually need to be a little bit careful here. They do not have control of that bottom side jungle. You can see that K-Pop is entering slightly, trying to wrestle some of that back, but Juves might once again be bullied off a camp. And there are 5 members up here. Misses the ultimate, and Bedoink looking to kite back. Decoy is able to get there. Big dunk comes through from Juves to trade 1-for-1. And a stopwatch means Alistar will be in range, but messes up the combo. Raid will pick up another kill. The stun will be just outside of turret range, so a 2-for-1 for Legacy.
Misplays by both parties there. Sybil whiffs the ulti, but does get the stun landing, so they do pick up the kills on Bedoink and Juves. But as you said, K-Pop hitting him with the flash pulverize, then headbutt combo, unfortunately, and Dream.
That's the Aegium special.
Is it?
It is.
I don't like that you said that, Dream.
I remember a specific game where you
Wild
hit
cards?
someone.
Let's not bring that one up. Let's,
why not?
Moving on, but that's exactly what we want to see out of Legacy here. Obviously, the mid lane is not going too well for them right now, but they did bring their bot lane up for that play. And that's what you need to see from Sybil. Needs to play through these side lanes and bring it to mid as well.
Ooh, as Praetor's actually looking for a 1v1. He might be able to get series here. He's kiting back. He's looking for the Mega.
Oh, he missed it.
Is he running out of room? He actually flashes. Sonya's is in as well. I don't know if you're going to get it. He dies. That is a 1v1 for Praetor, and that's actually pretty big.
That is absolutely huge. Maokai should not be 1v1 killing the Gnar here, and Series unfortunately misses the pickup on his boomerang, so can't proc that Mega. Would have been incredibly close if he did pick that one up, but tried to flash away. Burnt all of his utility there. Burns the flash, burns the stopwatch as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, this is the stage of the lane that you just have to wait out as a Gnar, because you've got a Phage, which gives you a little bit of harass, but really, he's got Ninja Tabby.
Yeah.
So until you get the Black Cleaver, you kind of just say, okay, I can safely farm, push him in a little bit, but instead they go for the aggressive play, bites him in the backside.
Yeah. Potential engage coming out. 2v3 right now, but bot lanes are moving. Dream still in bot lane.
Yeah, see whether they are able to force here. One more time, that is Legacy just looking to hit their hard engage buttons. And I like how active Decoy and Raid have been in leaving that bottom lane. You kind of have two choices, Bryce, when you push up that far. You can spell fling under turret, or you can try and help somewhere else. Definitely the latter being shown here.
Yep, 100%. Definitely more useful, especially in this situation. K-pop just give it a cheeky back. And as you were saying, in this Gnar versus Maokai, yeah, you're going to get the mallet, you're going to get the cleaver, so you just need to wait to a point where you can bully around the Maokai. But now, because of that death, as he does get thrown into turret aggro here, the 1v1 series gets a bit of damage down, but Radith just going to heal it back up.
I think that's really a frustrated ult from Sirius, isn't it? I mean, a little bit of harass damage, but goes underneath that Gnar.
Is coming.
And here comes the rest of the team. They're going to be able to run walk in, and they will catch him here. Stun comes through from the ultimate, and one more time, Sirius is dead. As we said, big game for Sirius today, but so far not going his way.
And that's another one of those situations where he's trading health with the enemy top laner. He used his ulti on that proactive engage onto Maokai, but Sybil on the bot-hand side of the map now looking at Dragon, but was not able to help him. And Bedoink with that priority in the mid lane. Claire, 1, 2, and 1 now. Bedoink with those 2 kills to just walk up freely, ulti in, and pick themselves up a kill.
And I mean, that's good play out of Legacy to get something off the map, but in reality, you're going to get first brick top lane. You're going to get Maokai extremely accelerated in a team comp where it looks like they're going to be team fighting. I know which one I would prefer.
And definitely, especially Air Drake versus the first turret gold here. And this is the starting to get into the point of the game where Gnar should be starting to bully around the Maokai, right? He wants to get this cleaver and then start setting up these split pushes, but because of this solo gold they gave to Maokai, you just saw Pradith picking that one up. That's going to get him his armor items. That's going to get him the sustain he needs against this Gnar and to be able to hold his own in that side lane. And
Sin, a team that this year would just be able to play with reckless abandon. I mean, there is no expectation on Dream, no expectation on K-pop, especially in this game. Bedoink, I mean, arguably, I would say there's a little bit of expectation on Bedoink because he's been around for a while, but this is a rookie lineup, and they're looking great in the first 15 minutes of this game.
And it's all been based around Juves, to be honest.
Yep.
Based up, the veteran jungler there, helping out his mid laner, and then the mid laner floating that pressure into the top side. So looking pretty cohesive here.
And it's good to see them with a game plan. I mean, they obviously had the level 2 gank prepped.
Yep.
Azir has low mobility until he has access to Q and E, so you need all 3 skills to be able to avoid those ganks.
But Claire didn't even flash it. He had flash available. It was pretty broadcast as Juves looking for something.
Oh, good flash out of Sybil there. Telegraph play maybe from Juves. Potentially could have waited for the Rune Prism and then been able to catch up, but means that Sybil's fast fingers get him out.
Yep, would have just burnt the flash anyway, I believe. So K-pop coming up to help out. They're just clearing out this vision. They did spend a bit of time in the top lane there, so obviously Legacy pick themselves up the Dragon and then push in to get these deep wards.
Thoughts on Juves' skin here?
What's Juves' skin? I don't have many opinions on Jarvan skins. As long as it's not Commando, then you've made the right choice.
As long as it's not Commando.
Not Commando. Sunglasses, not a good look.
I'm a big fan of Warring Kingdoms.
Okay.
Jarvan.
I'm honestly not too sure which one that is. I think he has the biggest pole arm. What's his weapon called?
Yeah, I
This
don't...
is a big pole with spikes on it, yeah.
Pole arm works.
Yeah, that works. As,
kind of a lance, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's a lance.
Yeah, I reckon he's a lancer that doesn't have a horse, which doesn't actually exist in...
No, he has a horse. On the Warring Kingdom skin,
he
has a horse,
that's why I like it,
on the splash art. Yeah, I'll back that.
Looks a little bit like Lubu, but we won't mention that one.
We just did. But in this bottom lane, I do want to mention the rune choices coming out of K-pop. He has opted in for the biscuit, so very obviously with the Aftershock primary and then has the secondary inspiration tree. He thought the matchup was going to be harder than it is because he's still sitting on those 2 potions. He's burnt one of the 3 he started the game with and then has those extra biscuits. So thought he was going to be taking more poke than he actually has.
And arguably, you would say that's because of how active Raid and Decoy have been out of the lane as Juves now joins this push down here. Also, Trinity Force coming through for Dream.
Yeah.
Looking to be a little bit more of a damage threat than what Iceborne Gauntlet would give you, and they just try and brute force this turret.
I mean, yeah, Raid has base. He's getting here very quickly. Realm Warp could come in from the rise here.
Actually, big damage going out onto K-pop, but he burns the ultimate. He can just stay there forever. And I feel like they use not all that much to burn the ultimate, but it was never really going to be a kill.
Claire has arrived and he's committed to the play, and Bedoink has left back to mid lane.
Yeah, every single ulti in the world just hits K-pop. I mean, what was that? All three at the same time. No layering of CC. Just make sure you pin him down, boys. And now it will be the Legacy bottom lane. Try and heal Grass onto this turret.
And what's going on Sin's side? The Maokai's made his way all the way down with his feet.
Here we go. Ultimate comes through from Juice. He gets big engage on, has a bit of damage, and that's all the CC from Maokai. Dream on the back end is just free hitting. Juice will fall down after the re-engage. However, teleport will be completed, and now Series is just in there by himself. No, Claire has made his way down. Where is Bedoink? He is so late to this fight, and it looks like just due to numbers, Legacy will be able to run away with this one. Bedoink finally is here. That's going to be the Emperor's Divide. Pushes Praedyth back, but they continue the fight. Bedoink falling very low here. Decoy needs to get away. Series looking to just kite out, and it looks like successful disengage, 3 for 3.
And that looked like such a disaster for Sin there, but once Bedoink arrives, he does output the damage, can clean up the back end of that fight, but you just have to mention, Praedyth literally walked from top lane and got to bot before Bedoink made his way down there. Both of them have access to the TP, but neither chose to use it there. Very close fight. Legacy do pick themselves up a bunch of kills and do get the turret, but first brick already on the side of Sin, so not too much gold.
Ultimate coming across. Does that hit Series? No, it doesn't. It went through a creep. Wouldn't have killed him anyway.
He's just pushing the wave, man.
Yeah, it certainly was. Trinity Force now picked up, taking a look in at the... Oh, no, we won't. You can have the replay.
Yeah, round 2 of this dive here, as I do mention, Nah coming down from the top side, and they do flank Bedoink in the mid lane. As this bit of engage, Juice commits, but they just don't have enough damage. Praedyth can't get through the tanks of Sybil and Decoy's Braum Shield here. Praedyth does arrive. They get a bit of damage down, but now the TP's come through. Bedoink is nowhere to be seen. Claire's going to arrive first. And as we saw, just picking up the kills on the back end of this fight. Claire doing a bit of poke. He does burn the stopwatch there on the side of Dream, but he goes down anyway. Series just chucking down some damage. Bedoink finally does arrive, and he does pick up the kill onto Claire there, but they just can't chase anymore. Braum Shield coming through, trying to save his teammate here. Series just walks out.
Yeah, exactly right. And whilst when you have access to spells, you're quite quick. Let's not talk about that.
Round
Everyone
2
is back down into the bottom lane. That Q lands. K-pop one more time, might be in trouble. However, teleport comes out. That means its turnaround could be there. As you mentioned, it was a double. One of them was cancelled in Bedoink. Praedyth complete.
So we just see the replay, basically. Legacy go for the same play in the bot lane, but because Bedoink and Praedyth didn't use either of their TPs, they stave that one off there because they have access to it now. Praedyth commits. Doink does it in the mid lane, holding off that Nah.
And Sybil's gone over the wall again, and this time it will be Dream that gets nailed and absolutely blown up by Claire. Now on the back line, there just isn't any damage to help K-pop out. You could see Bedoink potentially wanted to take Juves down there with the Realm Wolf, but they call the play off, and Sin punish an Legacy punish an over-aggressive Sin.
Sin just posturing too aggressively there without the members. 4v3 in that situation. Juves just ran it up the river to Bedoink, so nothing they could do. They do pop the ultis, but Dream got locked down by that CC initially, take him down, and without Dream, what's Ali going to do? He's just going to die.
Yeah, exactly right. So now, after what was force after force, Legacy pegged this one back. They're still down 1,600 gold, but they have equalized turrets, and they're up a couple of Drakes, so sitting okay.
Not fire Drakes, though.
Not fire
Yesterday, all we saw was the Infernal Spawn.
In goes Juves one more time, burns the ultimate, ulti for ulti, especially when it's Azir's control over the mid lane. You would take that. Ultimate coming out of Dream. Will this be enough this time? He's missed him by a whisker.
That would have killed him.
100%.
That would have killed him. That was so close. He's looking for the style play. He hasn't landed one yet, but...
He's also gone Ionian Boots of Lucidity.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the Triforce a little bit now, but they do have such a tanky lineup. Jesus, I can't say lineup. They do have the Maokai, Jarvan, and the Ali, so potentially doesn't opt in for the extra slow. They have a lot of engage potential, so just want straight up raw damage on the side of Dream.
I mean, and honestly, this is kind of the max damage build you can go. If you go Bork, Blade of the Roaring King, into LDL, or Dominic's Regard there, which is, of course, the HP shredding armor penetration item, does everything. That is the maximum damage you can do. You can see Claire's made it back to this mid lane. Does need to be careful of the dive from K-pop here.
That's brave.
I like that. That's just the zone. K-pop should be able to get out still, has the ultimate available, and he's just zone 3 members away. Realm Wolf out.
He's just run through the turret. Dream just shifts himself over the wall, and they get that one for free. Sybil was looking from the Wraith Pit, looking to fling an ulti, but...
As I said, the only way to break Azir's turret, in my opinion, is to make sure Azir's not near the creep wave.
Yeah.
one way to do that is to march at him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's mind games, right? Sybil was absolutely waiting for K-pop to just headbutt combo pulverize, headbutt pulverize combo onto Claire, but he doesn't commit for it. He just walks around.
Yep.
Headbutts away series. He gave him an out.
Don't you know?
And just walks out into the realm warp and
potentially Claire should have pulled the trigger there. Potentially you should be scooping Alistar back into the tier 2 and making sure that there is at least some punish for the play. But as you said, you don't want to use it on a support because if the rest of the team then comes in, you're in big trouble.
The rest of the team is the big thing. They were still waiting for their members to walk down from the top side. Raid and Decoy weren't there yet, and there were so many members of Sin just pushing up that middle lane. Potentially the Sin ARAM coming back, but they get themselves the outer turret. That's a big deal for a control mage like Azir. He wants that safety. Obviously, can make his own turret temporarily, but as we see it die right now, that's a big map opening for Sin.
It certainly is, and I mean, across the board right now, you have to say, Praetor 2003, he's tanky. He's picked himself up 2.5 items plus tabbies. Raid is not going to have all that much damage apart from one hit, and tabbies nullifies a lot of that, even though will be armor. I think that right now, I mean, even QSS picked up, Sin are ready to fight.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. And even on the flip side, Series, because he's on the back foot in this matchup, has neglected to go for the split pushing Frozen Mallet build.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just gone for the Adaptive Helm to nullify a bit of the damage.
Engagement down bottom. You see Series going for the fight, however, runs straight into Bedoink. That Arcane Smash will miss, and he also misses a Twisting Event. Ultimate comes out. They will pick up the turret. However, you can see right now Legacy moving in on that mid lane. Some misplays mechanically there out of Praetor probably cost him a kill.
Yeah, Series does in the end burn the Flash, but Flash for mid lane outer, you have to question that decision there as Legacy answer it in the mid lane.
And we'll see now whether they can get the fights because Legacy, I think they definitely outscale as K-pop looking to go in. That's going to be Braum snared up and everyone just burning it onto the shield. However, if they get him down, it will be enough. You see Ultimates flying everywhere. Dream is there on the backside. As you mentioned, Series is there, does go through the whole team and cannot get back in range. But Doink will dodge out on that stun. However, the rest of the members converge, and that will be a 3-for-1 Decoy, tanking up so much damage.
They just committed so hard onto the Braum there. As you said, tanking so many of their cooldowns, all the CC, and that was a 4v5. Series wasn't even there yet. He comes into the back line.
I don't know if you want to do this.
Against the
They've
Ezreal,
made a beeline to Baron. It's not against Ezreal. Across from the team is a 6'4" alpha male that once upon a time outsmarted Levi. He didn't get it, no! It was nearly in range, but Legacy pick up the Baron.
Absolutely secure themselves. Nice. Oh, Dream's looking. He's looking for the 2v1. Was that a mistake? Burns the heal. Oh,
he flashed into a wall.
Both of them, Jews and Dream, burn their flashes on the end of that, and that's staggering the death times there. That's really bad. Legacy are going to get this reset with the Baron recalls and look to take something, and both of these members will be dead.
Vicarious did say he wanted his team to play as a team. I don't think there's anything more like playing like a team when you're juggling.
Both suiciding into the Baron.
You say, I'm with you, buddy, to the bitter end.
Absolutely, but I do want to mention that fight was actually so close to Series getting like a 4-man swoop into the team, but K-pop headbutted him away. Nice play there, but in the end, they do pick up the victory on that fight anyway. 2-for-4.
Legacy played that fight incredibly well. Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, got a little bit overexcited there. I apologize to the viewers at home. But that was a very clean fight out of Legacy because they blew everything on Decoy, and Claire and Ray just sat back and auto.
I mean, look at their scores right now. Claire's gone from 0-2 early game. He's only down 20 CS, but he's got himself 7 kills. And then Raid has 3 to his name as well. So these carries are definitely ahead, and they have the tank line there with the Gnar, with the Sedge, and Decoy. We already saw tanking so much in that last fight.
And Claire had also done the old school Dade. Dade used to do it to the more extreme. Where let's talk about that afterwards as Decoy gets engaged on one more time. Realm Warp's going to come in, but a good ultimate out of Raid disengages. And now the whole of Legacy is collapsing. You can see Dream already had to burn the QSS on the back end, kiting back against Series. However, the fight is so split. Series will fall down, and the rest of Sin will get away. 2 tanks still on the front line. K-pop, no ultimate, will eventually fall down. And now Claire looks to continue the chase. It's a 1-for-2. But as far as Sin are concerned, that's nearly a win.
And round 2 of the hard flank out of Series, and all the carries from Sin, Rise and Ezreal and Juves turn around to deal with him, just leave the front line in the middle of Legacy. And as we just said, Claire and Ray doing so much damage, chew through them. That's a 2-for-1 trade there, and they're going to pick up more with the Baron.
Yeah, they certainly are. Baron up creeps, you know, they ignore the Dragon. After that, they stream straight towards the bottom line. What I was going to mention is Dade had this thing where if he died twice in lane, he would go back and buy a Magi's. Because he was like, the game's already over if I can't get kills. And Claire's done the same. He's got 10 stacks on the Dark Seal.
And this was a nice disengage coming out of the two. Decoy was in the Cataclysm, jumped to his teammate there, Raid using the ulti to keep him at bay, and they're just waiting for Series to come in. And look at the bottom-hand side of the screen there. Bedoink and Juves and Ezreal there, doing so much damage, taking Series out. He was mini-nar, so no Mega available. Wasn't that much of a threat, but they commit so hard to him, and Legacy just clean up the rest of the fight.
Well, that's the problem with pincers, is that you can attack one side of the pincer, and they were like, we're going to battle our way out of this. But to give credit to Series, he corralled them very well. As now Juve's potentially in a little bit of trouble. During that replay, Legacy picked up an Ocean Drake.
Yep, so that'll be the 3. They got the mixed bag there, the air, the ocean, and the mountain. So
Storm, earth, and water. He might call.
Yeah, no fire.
No fire.
Bad luck, guys.
Bummer.
BL on that one. But Sin, despite being down in gold, they are 5k down and didn't have the Baron. That was on the side of Legacy. They are playing pretty aggressively. They're looking for the engager, and they're hard committing as a 5-man unit. But
well, I think they have to. Yeah. Really, if you're up against Azir Varus, and you aren't fighting during the mid game, you're like, we can take him late. Got to question the shot calling.
I mean, yes, but they do have the 1-through-run available. We talked about it. Azir doesn't want to be in the side lane, so they could just try and wave clear as best as possible, especially when Legacy have the Baron. They can try and defend the turrets, but look, they're going to take a few anyway. They might take an outer, take an inner, but if you can hold the base, like we saw yesterday, it's so hard to crack that, but they're just opting in for these 5-man full commit engages, and Legacy just playing the fight so well, cleaning them up.
Yeah, completely agree with how well Legacy has played after what was a kind of sloppy early game. Yeah. You can see Realm Warp is coming in. They're trying to collapse onto Claire. That's everyone, actually. Claire burns a cleanse, burns a flash, and will get away. But that was a surprise party in the mid lane. They will get some damage on top for it. Good force from Sin, gets 2 summoner spells.
And Legacy, they're trying to set up the all lane pressure here. 1 in the bot, 1 in the mid, and 3 in the top there. They do get themselves a turret for the trouble. Claire gets out scot-free, has to burn the ulti, but they're just not having time to set up. It looks
like there's a fight here. Decoy's jumping forward. They're all onto K-pop. Ultimate comes across one more time. Juice gets torn apart. And that is an all AD Jarvan that is just dead. K-pop without the ultimate is not tanky at all. And this actually might be game because you can see Legacy is marching through the Sin base.
Really nice ultimate out of Sybil. They gets it around the Alistar onto Juice. They take both of them out. So that's 2 members, 2 free kills. Get themselves an inhib, and Legacy just look like they're running away with the game right now. 8k gold lead up from the 3.
Yeah, exactly right. An early game lead for Sin. But afterwards, everything from 14, 15 minutes has just been Legacy. Praetor will get stunned up here, uses the ultimate. He is very tanky, but he is not that tanky, and now it is just the damage dealers left available. Bedoink uses the Zhonya's Hourglass, looking to get out. Seraphs as well. Sybil dives forward, is going very low, and now Series is in trouble. Dream does a lot of damages and is chunking them out. However, Legacy successful disengage. No, flash forward, dodges out on the Emperors, and what the heck? That still went through, and now Raid just marches forward onto them. The zone will come out of Juves. They break the base again, and Juves still wants this fight. Dream dashing forward. Juves will fall down. K-pop, big headbutt pulverized combo. However, he will also fall, and this is just a force that Sin cannot afford. Dream needs to go back to his base. That will be the 2nd inhibitor falling down, and with 10 seconds still on a tank, Legacy look to march in.
That could potentially be the game. Legacy, we thought they may be overcommitted for that one. Walked too far to look for the kills onto Bedoink, but in the end, nice disengage out of Claire. Raid gets the cleanup kill on the back end of that, and the front line just tanking for him. Nice play out of Legacy. Get themselves 2 inhibs.
And the decap was just picked up for Claire. A man that was set very far behind.
Yeah.
Strongest on the map.
Absolutely. Huge turnaround from him. So much damage. And as you said, they're just scaling so well. Varus, Azir doing so much damage. Frontline, too easy there. And Decoy hasn't even gone for more tank stats. Normally you see the Knight's Vow coming out, but he's just opted straight in for the QSS. He recognizes if they can't Maokai W someone, if they can't Ali combo someone, if they can't lock our carries down, then we're just going to win. So he opts in for the Crucible for that cleanse. The carries don't have to spend that money. Raid, of course, has the QSS available, so namely just keeping it for Claire.
Yep, exactly right. And that's the big thing. I mean, mages don't want to build QSS. Unless there's a Malzahar in the game, in which case you kind of have to. So Crucible going to do the job in this game, honestly, for Claire. And that means that his 6th slot can continue to be that 10-stack Dark Seal, which I really hope goes into a Magi Soul Stealer. One more time, potential force going to be here. Teleports coming in, and they do engage. Headbutt pulverize onto the two tanks one more time. Front to back team fight. Juice dies in. He's just not tanky enough. Decoy will also fall down, and now the brawl really has started. Awesome ultimate out of Sybil onto the backline, but going to have to take the Rise ultimate out, and Dream is flashing away. 3-man boulder from series will continue this. Sybil over the wall, and Legacy 4 men strong continue to look to push.
Can they end 4v3 against the Nexus turrets without Baron? Juves is sort of chasing Praedyth around the top side there, making sure he can't base, so they won't have the front line.
Yep.
Just the 2 carries. This turret is very low. They're going to look to the end.
They certainly are. They take down one Nexus turret. They take down the second. They still have a tank there. Claire swoops in, scoops Spadoink back and picks up another kill. They're flashing forward. They get Dream as well, and that will be a Game 1 victory for Legacy.
Statement game out of Legacy here. Sin did challenge them really early. Nice ganks out of Juves into the middle lane. Claire got put so far behind, but at the end of the game, just popping off in team fights, doing so much damage. That last team fight, Sin had to go for it. They had no inhibs, 2 of them down on the bot side, and Baron was spawning, but it was just perfect for Legacy.
100%. I mean, when you're running through a choke against Varus as well as Azir, something's gone wrong in the game plan somewhere along the line.
And then you have the Braum just sitting at the front with the shield up, tanking everything that Sin was throwing their way. So Sin at that stage of the game just stuck between a rock and a hard place and another hard place, as I like to say yesterday. So
yeah. I mean, that was an awesome game, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, great early game from Sin. Very promising signs. They tried to force. They felt like they had to up the tempo. I actually agree with them. If they get that bottom lane dive a little bit better, they close that game out very quickly before Azir and Varus scale up. But on the opposite side of the coin, credit to Legacy because they held.
And Legacy, interestingly enough, maybe it's something from Soul Strikes, because they've never been a super proactive team.
Yep.
Even with Carbon on the roster last year, they were super defensive. They would play a slow early game and then would scale up towards the late game. Carries get stronger, tanks get tankier, and they would play that style. And that's exactly what happened this game. Juves looked for the early ganks, got them off, but Legacy still seemed fairly comfortable to react to what Sin was throwing to them and then just play the reactive style.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 players that we have to look at that we were kind of unsure about because of last split's performance in Raid and Decoy really looked promising. They pushed in all game. They team fought very well.
Absolutely. Legacy had the 2 priority lanes everywhere but mid. Just pushing in the top side. And then, as you said, Raid and Decoy, constant pressure on that bottom lane. And Sin tried to go there multiple times. They had multiple 5-man commits into the bottom lane, but they just seemed to be able to disengage. Varus getting out there with the Braum blocking for him, and then just the collapse would come out. You would see Sybil, you would see Claire come down from the middle lane, and then they just couldn't win the fights.
Yeah, on the flip side, I mean, Praedyth able to pick up a couple of solo kills versus series in a bad matchup. Is that somewhere that Sin look and say, you know what, the Maokai, it was okay, but if we can kill him on Maokai, imagine what we can do on Lowy or a gameplay.
100%. I agree. Series looked pretty rough in the early stage of that game. Was the recipient of a lot of gold when Legacy started to win the game, got him back into it, and then had some decent flanks and team fights, honestly, multiple times. He did play the team fights well from behind, but if Sin can get themselves into that early game situation again, you'd have to think now they've had 1 crack at it. Can they get a second and actually converge?
I don't know. Maybe someone that will be able to tell us will be Destiny, who is waiting alongside with Laura.
Thanks, Jank. We're back to break down that game, and Legacy came out with win, but I think Sin went off to a good start. Vicarious was saying in the interview that they were confident in their early game, and we saw that Juves put a lot of pressure, especially in that mid lane with the level 2 cheese.
Yeah, definitely. I think Sin had this game in their hands. Definitely with like the level 2 gank, it was pre-planned, like it was said on the cast. I think their early pressure was really good because they have Jarvan, they have the Alistar, they have a lot of early aggression that they can combo, they can lay the CC. Unfortunately, Ceres did get solo killed in that top lane. That was pretty rough for him. But I feel like the main throw for Sin was mainly in the bot lane, where Praedyth literally walked from top lane all the way down the bot. Badoink was farming mid lane. They both had teleports. I think they could have just pushed out their waves and then teleported down bot, or they just walked together with the Realm War. But yeah, unfortunately, that's where the turning point came. Legacy had the better scaling comp with the Braum, Sejuani, Azir. That was their first 3 picks, so all they had to do was play reactionary, scale up, and eventually outscale the opponent, which they did.
Going back onto series there, you were saying upstairs that it was a bit interesting that he took fleeting footwork over Airy, which is what most people usually take on Nah. And he did end up getting solo killed by Praedyth a few times.
Yeah, definitely. I do think Airy into Domination is the best rune setup that you can have into Maokai, mainly because you get Taste of Blood, which allows you to get lifesteal, which pretty much what Fleet Footwork does. but with Airy, you get more damage. And yeah, it just really allows you to accelerate your lead more with Scorch because you get to do more damage as well. So I think it's a win-win, while with Fleet Footwork you only get the heal. So I think Airy would have been the most optimal rune setup for him. And yeah, if you're playing Nara to Maokai, I definitely recommend that.
And even though Legacy did have a lot of pressure on them in the early game from Sin, Claire did an amazing job to come back in that mid lane. How did he play it so well?
Honestly, I think he just sat back and farmed. He's like, guys, I'm getting camped. Just leave me on an island. I'll farm Raptors. I'll scale up. And look, that was a good recovery. I think Claire's known to be a little bit of a tilter in the past, but I think this game, he drew a lot of pressure from Juves, and he recovered well. Like, he popped off in the late game team fights. He used his cleanse well. He used his wall to zone team fights, and really good performance from him, which from a bad start as well.
And this is a bit off topic, but Bryce and Jake were talking about the skins in the bot lane with Explorer, Ezreal, and Alistair. And Bryce was saying that there's no brown skin that could match Explorer, Ezreal, but there is Longhorn Alistair, which I think would have
Longhorn Alistair, just look at him.
Pretty well. He's got the hat, he's got the vest, he's got it all going for him.
Look, if you're going to explore, at least take a hat. Alistair's got a hat, and look at those big horns. Like, he can help out Ezreal.
It's called Longhorn for a reason.
Yeah, I think that was a skin that they should have taken. Maybe the bot lane would have went differently.
Yeah. Were you surprised by the performance of the new people on Sin?
I think Dream, like, it's their first game in the OPL. He's 17 years old. I think that's what Ejim said. Look, everyone has jitters here and there, and this is your first time in the OPL. He might have a better second game. Same with K-pop. I think they had a pretty rough time in the bot lane. I think Padoink in the early games had a very good performance, but just didn't translate his lead. So I think coming to the second game, I'm definitely sure Vicarious will push them to their limits and keep playing the aggressive style that we all love and know about Sin. Aggressive.
We all love Sin a bit too much. They just get to your heart. Well, remember that if you want to play League of Legends in high school, you can now. It is your time. There are a bunch of League of Legends clubs popping up all around Oceania. These clubs promote respect and teamwork and resilience, but they must be run by a teacher. So have a chat with your favourite teacher today or head to oce.leaguehighschool.com for more information. Thank you so much for your insights, Destiny. We're going to go to a short break, but we'll be back with Game 2 between Sin and Legacy right after these highlights.
Decoy is able to get there. Big dunk comes through from Juves to trade 1-for-1, and a stopwatch means Alistair will be in range, but messes up the combo. Raid will pick up another kill. Tigo ultimate comes through from Juves. He gets big engage on, has a bit of damage, and that's all the CC from Maokai. Dream on the back end is just free hitting. Juves will fall down after the re-engage. However, teleport will be completed, and now Series is just in there by himself. And this time it will be Dream that gets nailed and absolutely blown up by Claire. Now on the back line, there just isn't any damage to help K-pop out. You could see Bedoink potentially wanted to take Juves down there with the Realm Warp, but they called the play off. And Juves still wants his fight. Dream dashing forward. Juves will fall down. K-pop, big headbutt pulverized combo. However, he will also fall. And this is just a force that Sin cannot afford. They take down one Nexus turret. They take down the second. They still have a tank there. Claire swoops in, scoops Bedoink back and picks up another kill. They're flashing forward. They get Dream as well. And that will be a Game 1 victory for Legacy.